Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to Tennis Manager 23. This is episode 28. World Cup is on, and we actually got really close. So we've been in the juniors previously, and now that we've progressed into the professional ranks, and we were barely inside the top 100 in a very strong U.S. side, you figured it was going to be a while before we'd see the World Cup. We're not far from it right now. I know my face cam is covering the ranks of the 5 that were selected, but let me lay it out for you here real fast without needing to bother to move the face cam. For one thing, they're all young, 22 to 27 at the oldest, 3 of them 22 years of age, but Corey Goff, 3rd in the world. Okay, fine. But the drop off from there suddenly gets almost in reach. 24, 27, 34, 35. Currently, we're ranked 40th with Clarice. Clarice is close, just 5 spots off Katrina Scott. And funny thing is, Kruger and Scott both, and really Goff at some stage, the last couple of years at Tennis Manager, those were the young players that I was picking up and bringing into the side and finding success with. So, no surprise to see them up here. So U.S. sweeps through the group stage. You're not done yet. We are on the outside looking in, so I don't think we're going to be a participant this year, but as close as we are, next year, it could be on. Urhobo's last objective for the year is to win an 80 level or better tournament. She goes out in the semifinals. Did well to get that far, but not a win. Losing in the semifinals at least does also pick up a partial evaluation for that goal and has her pretty close to maximizing that. It's amazing how quickly we've gone from nowhere near achieving her goals to poof, just like that. 1 tournament and then, well, really 2 tournaments later, she's, 85% or something like that? The mandatory major tournaments are kicking in, so Clarice, as the 40th ranked player, forced into the Wuhan 900 level major tournament. Not a Grand Slam, but a major tournament. Efremova, our first round matchup, though, is certainly a good opportunity to get through a round. I think the biggest problem short term for Clarice is now going to be maintaining some semblance of form, because we are going to be stuck in these major tournaments that she's not yet good enough to be very competitive in, and it's going to hurt her form, which then means when you go into the tournaments that we could normally be well prepared for and exceed our rank and move up, and essentially that's how we got to 40th, right? Now we struggle to find form because she's constantly playing better players who are better than her and losing, which probably has some realism in it, really. There's going to be some players out there that are good that just never quite get to play against the ones that are at their own level or slightly below their level to maintain that form. We've been up against Efremova 3 times. Not once this year, though. So this was all previous years. It's a good one to keep an eye on. Clarice has only won once, and it was the latest of the 3 times that they played each other 2 years ago in Brazil. This was all juniors, by the way, and top-level juniors, J1s and J2s, that they played each other. So these 2 are old rivals, first time playing this year. We'll see how this one turns out. Without the form, remember, without the form, and poof, just like that, Clarice still cannot get form because she doesn't have it. Can't get it because she doesn't have it. Can't get it because she goes up against tough opposition, and even when she plays somebody a little bit below her level that she should be beating, she doesn't have the form. So she's in that snowball, in that spiral. It's all going downhill. And Efremova, ouch, for the 3rd time out of the 4 times they've ever met, has beaten Clarice. The sad thing here is she had it wrapped up. She was done. She already won the first set. She was into tiebreakers for the second set, fell apart, and ended up losing the match. Urhobo, a week later in another 80 level, has won a semifinal now. So she is into the final. Do we want to intervene? Sure, let's do it. Urhobo got a wild card for this one. I had not been getting entries. I kept getting denied again and again. I laid off for a little bit, and then suddenly she has that one tournament, one performance, and then, you know, like a day later, somebody offers a wild card. She was at 200. She's already fallen to 217, amazingly, but she beat the number 2 seed to get here, but they were only 202, similar rank to herself, and she's got a better rank than her finalist opponent. Charleston, South Carolina. 32-11 on the year for Urhobo, which is pretty dang good considering how much of the freaking year she has spent injured. 3 career titles, all smaller ones. 2 of them this year, I think, or all 3 this year.
15 low.
Oh, unforced error on that one. Otherwise, strong start in terms of how it looks like she's playing. It's just mistakes are going to be a big part. Now, not my usual player. Slightly different strategy for her with her coach.
15 low.
Ugh. Mistake there. Looks like we're going to drop this game. Yeah, and we do. 1-1. Urhobo. Perfect opportunity there. Capitalizes on it. Wins the point. Oh, a double fault. Wasn't even really very close either. Attacks the net. Definitely something you see more from her than what we're used to with Clarice.
40-15.
Pretty aggressive here, though. I'm surprised that it says thrilled because entering this match, she looked pretty emotionally, like, distraught. She was not looking good. I think one thing she's going to be able to take advantage of a bit here is her opponent is a power server, but very much seems to not trust her accuracy, as we're seeing. So we just saw that ace. Majority of her serves, good 3/4 of them are kind of just coming right down the middle. They're just hit with a bit of pace. She's not trying to paint the edges at all, but she's been strong when serving. So Urhobo might not be looking that great. Akasha is not Ahsoka, but Ahsoka. Have you seen the new series? I have not watched it yet, but I'm a big fan of Ahsoka. Just a little while back, went to start the Obi-Wan series, and my wife pulled the dreadful, "Who's that?" And we watched a few minutes, and I don't remember them. Just dreadful moment to a diehard Star Wars fan, to have your significant other not know who a key character is that they've seen plenty of. So the question was posed, and the answer was a grateful one on my part of, yes, I would love to watch Star Wars from the very beginning in timeline order. Ooh, that one on the edge of the line. It was certainly a bit on the back edge, so certainly no guarantee that we would have gotten that call. We could have gotten that call. It would be 40-15 right now. It touched the edge of the line, certainly, and even though it was tight, we should have gotten that call. Did not, but either way, we would have already won this game. So there we go. As long as we get the game, I don't mind. And we do get the game, so it works out in the end. So we finally pulled together a chance to break her, because we've been fairly comfortable with our serve. We've never been properly threatened. But when she's served out of nowhere, she's a very different player. And like I said, her service does not seem overly threatening. It's got some power, sure, but that's it.
Out. 40-15. Game. 5 games to 2.
And suddenly up 5-2. This first set looking good.
Out. 15 low. 4. Second set.
By the way, as far as I've made it in that timeline order is now Rebels, and we're season 2, 3 on that one. And that actually puts us almost perfectly in the Ahsoka timeline, by the way. She makes appearances at roughly the same age in the Rebels show. So that might be falling in next. Anyway, back to this. Our 5-2 lead has suddenly turned into a 5-5. So no idea how Urhobo has sucked that much when I look away for like 4 seconds. But here we are at 1140 advantage for set point. That's another one. Out is probably just about the right call, but that ball is on the edge of the line, and we just never seem to get those calls. Well, no, we do. Just not the last couple of times. Not the last couple of matches that we've keyed in on. One for Clarice and now one for Urhobo.
Second set.
But the first set is hers. She's now a set away from accomplishing all of her goals on the year, which would match where Clarice is now. Clarice lacks the form right now, right? And we know what the cause of it is. We know what the problem is, and it could be a problem next year that we're going to have to try to come up with a solution to. But for this year, the year is almost done for one thing. But for another, as we were broke on our first game, by the way, but we come back and break her. So now all of a sudden, the returnee is outshining. But here we are at 40 love and get that 2-1 lead. What we're facing for Clarice is a situation where her goals are accomplished for this year. So there's no need, there's no rush, there's no push to rise up the rank right now. Because again, every year as you make progress, if your rank is 5 spots higher, the demand is going to be 10 spots higher for the next year. And there it is, it's decided. Urhobo claims victory and has completed all of her goals now for the year. So that's awesome. But again, with Clarice, the more I push her rank now, the more it's going to hurt us next year. The demands are just going to be that much higher, that much harder. And things can go wrong. Like with Urhobo, right? 1 injury, 2 injuries, 3 injuries, 4 injuries later, we were having a real struggle trying to accomplish those goals. She was already trying to terminate the contract with us. I don't want to fall into that scenario, so I don't mind tempering the goals, the objectives for the year a little bit to make them reasonable so that we can continually make progress and not shoot for the moon and suddenly find yourself in a whole heap of trouble. And so here we go again with an even tougher draw than what we had the last time. Still in China, this time in Beijing. Thurman tired. I did some extra training after being eliminated from the previous one, and it didn't feel like it was too much, but to her it ended up being way too much as she came out wiped out. So I overdid it, and now we're going to suffer the consequences of being tired and out of form against a top 50 player. So no surprise that it's a first round exit, 3-6, 6-3, 4-6. Quick tip for you. We've gone through the business or through the infrastructure fairly extensively on the beginning phase of how to get the ball rolling, how to start turning a profit instead of a negative. But once you do get to that point and you're able to start turning a profit, you quickly need to turn your attention back to the one that in the old versions you want to begin with, and that's the business center. The business center is where the finances shine, and those finances will really, really turn out big profits. The problem is the upgrades themselves are a little bit more expensive, so you've got to have at least a baseline of income coming in that's going to turn enough profit to get to these within a fairly reasonable amount of time. And so for 609,000, we're going to build a heliport, which is going to come with, you can see the offset is a net gain of 30,000 a month. It's going to take 4 months to build, but 30,000 a month is a huge increase in funding. That's going to really turn into a lot of upgrades over a shorter period of time. This is going to be a really important tournament for us, and of course I'm nervous about the lack of form and the fact that we are not facing anyone easy. We are the number 1 seed, and we still have one of the highest ranked players outside of the 8 seeded ones. In fact, just off, you can see Nagunye is 8th of 8 seeded players, ranked 62nd. Our opponent's 67th. So just about, or maybe the hardest draw, not quite, because there's a 66 right there I can see. Anyway, nearly the hardest draw possible, and with the lack of form, could make things difficult. Even second round, you're looking at a 70. This is why this is so important, because now I do care. I care now because a week after this is the next gen finals. Now, I don't think Thurman's in a position to really contend for that at this stage, so okay, fine, it's not that big of a deal, but I want to contend for it. I want to see how far she can go, and she's got to build up some form if she's going to have any success. This is her only chance to do so. Let's see, can she squeeze out this first, second round and get some form under her belt? She is going to be able to get at least a little bit of form out of this tournament. That's good. A 6-3, 6-2 first round victory, doubling up on the winners, keeping the total forced errors low, keeping the unforced errors low, winning 3/5 of the points. No surprise that it's the 70th ranked player who gets into that round of 16, so that's who we'll play against here. Nagunye is the possible quarterfinals matchup, and again, that's looking, all of this is looking winnable or losable for us. We should be the favorite. We are the highest ranked player here. We've already fallen to 46th, but we're still fine when it comes to our ranking. The form is the major obstacle for us, but just simply looking at what the next 4 looks like for the semifinal matchup, we somehow really got done dirty when it came to this tournament and the draw, despite being the number 1 seed. But we are through 2 rounds. That will absolutely help our form just when we need it. We've been up against Nagunye once. Nagunye was one of my favorites in the previous tennis manager that we had on our team, and here she beat us the one time we played her last year. She beat us pretty comfortably too. It was 6-1, 6-4. Have we improved to the point where we can beat her? We have 6-2, 6-4 into the semifinals, and that will absolutely raise our form now without any sort of doubt. That is major progress. In the semifinals, we got a 46-90 matchup, unseeded for her, wild card even. A 61-82 matchup for the player who was just 1 spot above Nagunye and 7. So actually a real possibility to come out of this tournament as winners. But without the form in the tournament, it'll be there next week. There was always the chance that any one of them could beat us. I was surprised it actually took this long. Form problems averted. We are now going to have good form entering the next tournament, but we are out on this one. We win the first set and we lose handily in the second. Push the third one all the way to a tiebreaker and go down. 48% of points won, minus 24 on winners, minus 6 on unforced errors. It was the total forced errors where we dominated, plus 21. Almost unfortunate news is that Urhobo has won an even larger tournament now, and as a result, her rank has just flown through the roof. 200 was great. It meant goals achieved. It meant we could look at next year and say, hey, let's get you up into the top 100. And she would probably be content with that. Suddenly, almost overnight, a few weeks later, her ranking has gone from 200 and just outside of 200 really to 103. Suddenly a top 100 ranking is not going to be suitable for next year. She's going to want to climb all the way up into the top 50 or something, and that's going to be a huge ask. And that's exactly what I was talking about with Thurman, right? I'm happy to keep Thurman somewhere around 40, 45 in the rankings. It's a perfect place for her to be for the rest of this year. Urhobo was in a perfect place. Suddenly, 100 spots higher in the rankings, her expectations for next year, they're going to be way up here, and we might have problems. And here we go again, Urhobo picking up more points. 80 level tournament, once again. No, you're not going to intervene. Do your thing. She lost the final at least, but that's another big haul of points that will probably see her climb inside the top 100 now. As we head to our next objective, well, it's not an objective, our next target, my target, and that is the promising finals, or the next gen finals. It's your under 21s, it's your intermediate. You're the pros now, but because you fall into a certain age range, you get a specialized tournament still at the end of the year, because you came out of the juniors, which was all specialized tournaments, and then the pros, it's like, where's the in between? This is the in between. But we're going to do it next time. And then into our turnover into the new season will come just after that, because it's already that phase. It's now November. In terms of growth, let's take a look at R2. The form picks up. We train for 1 week and it drops back to week, but at least it's not the worst. It was the worst. We, amazingly, after winning 4 rounds, it only picked us up 1 level. It picked us up 2 initially, but it's back down to 1 after a week of training. So 1 week, that was it, just 1. Anyway, here's what we're looking at in terms of how things fit. And the physical, the negative is the same here or the worst level. So it's just as if we didn't play that tournament. That really sucks. That really sucks. We're going to head into the next gen finals struggling. 3.5 stars though is good. Lots of 13s, 14s, 15s in the technical side, and then of course, the skill shots, but even those are 8s and 10s. She's okay at doing them. She's just not going to really turn out very many winners from those. But the physical side, it's close. I pushed to 15s in 3 of them over the last few months. The speed, footwork, and balance. The agility still at a 14. The reflexes now at a 15. Natural fitness at a 19 should mean she's not going to see very many injuries the rest of her career, as that's the one that's supposed to decide that. The stamina, still sitting on that. I'll get that to double digits soon enough. But the agility is really the next target to see that get to a 15. And then I'd love to see those all get to 16s. The only problem I have right now, and why I'm maybe going to steer away from that temporarily anyway, is that the primary one for me is speed, and we just do not have the facilities to have an effective speed training. So through some facility upgrades, it's going to unlock some of the higher level stuff we need to get a few of the attributes where they need to get to. Some of the attributes you can train pretty easily with what we have. Some you can only get mediocre training out of them, and as these attributes climb to a certain level, those poor facilities are actually really starting to hamper our progress. Mental side's pretty good. Positioning is one I'd like to target and pick up those couple of points, get to a 15, 16 soon. Urhobo, definitely not Clarice. 12s, 11s, some 13s. A single 14 in all of her attributes is anticipation. She's a full star below. So her having her rank jump to 99th now, so problematic heading into the year. She has 1 career 80 level tournament victory. She just got 1 career 60 level tournament victory. 5 total titles. This is very much a 2.5 star player. Now, she's in the mold. She's all around. She's similar to Clarice, but she's clearly 2 to 3 points behind her in everything. That is going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.